The most common way that we use the mole is to convert back and forth between mass, which we can measure in the lab, and mole, which allows us to count things, molecules, atoms, etc. So the connection between the mass of one atom and the mass of one mole is that one atomic mass unit is 1 gram per mole. So that allows us to think about the units of molar mass. Molar mass is the number of grams in 1 mole. This is the useful form for calculations. It's also, we can write it as the number of grams per mole. These mean exactly the same thing, but this is going to be a more useful way to use molar mass as we're calculating back and forth between grams and moles and other things. So determine the molar mass of elements or diatomic elements. We just look up the element on the periodic table, and the number, the atomic mass, is the molar mass. So for gold, which is Au, it is just 196.97 grams per mole. What this means is that 1 mole of gold, or 6.2 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of gold, is going to have a mass of 196.97 grams. If you're talking about an element that's diatomic, like chlorine, which means it comes in packages of 2, it would be 35.45, the atomic mass of Cl, chlorine, multiplied by 2, and that would give us 70.90 grams per mole, which means, again, Avogadro's number, or 1 mole of chlorine molecules, is going to have a mass of 70.90. If we're talking about compounds, we write out the formula and then add up all the atomic masses to calculate the molar mass. So for sulfur trioxide, which is 1 sulfur, 3 oxygens, sulfur is 32.0, oxygen is 16, but there are 3 of them. Multiply, add everything up together, and we get 80.0 grams per mole for SO3. Calcium nitrate is a little bit more complicated formula. Nitrate group is NO3. There's 2 nitrates for every 1 calcium. Don't forget about the parentheses. So in this scenario, we've got 1 calcium, 40.08. We have 2 nitrogens because each nitrate group has 1 nitrogen, but there are 2 of them. So that would be 2 times 14. There are 6 oxygens. So NO3, 3 oxygens, times 2 is 6. So there's 6 oxygens. Multiply, add everything together, and you get 164.08 grams per 1 mole of calcium nitrate. So converting back and forth between moles and mass, the conversion factor is the molar mass. It's the number of grams in 1 mole, so it goes back and forth between grams and moles. It allows us to go from grams to moles, or from moles back to grams. This symbol, this big sort of scripty M, stands for molar mass. It's just quicker to write. To go from moles to mass, you multiply by molar mass. So you take the moles, you multiply by the number of grams in 1 mole, and that gives you grams. To go from mass to moles, divide by molar mass. So we have the mass, we divide by the number of grams per mole, grams is going to cancel, and we get the number of moles. So to practice, how many grams of silver are in 0.0342 moles of silver? Silver is just an element, so it's just the molar mass of silver, and we are going to multiply by molar mass. So pause your video, work along and do the math yourself, and then turn it back on to check your answers. So again, going from moles to grams, we're going to multiply by the number of grams in 1 mole. Going from grams to moles, we're going to divide by the number of grams per mole, which is the molar mass. Okay, so practice these. Watch your sig figs. Write out the formula first. Calculate its molar mass. Convert from grams to moles or from moles to grams, depending on what the question is. Pause your video, work through these, and then turn it back on. Okay, check and see how you did. More practice. Again, shut off the video, work through, figure out what the formulas are. The most common mistake is to have the wrong formula and have the wrong molar mass. So be really careful on those, and then turn it back on and check your work. Okay, turn it back on and check and see how you did.